as you go. But knowing first and foremost, is this somebody that I want to have on my bus? Are they going to allow us to get in the direction that we're going to get into? This initial position for them might not be best fit, but it's a very, very good fit, and we'll kind of figure it out as we go. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with scaling a company, and I think you've done a good job of recognizing talent that you guys have acquired. You do a very, very good job of recognizing talent and then internally promoting people. And I think that's something that goes a long way when it comes to staff retention. Can you talk a little bit about that process, some of the things that you recognize in young employees, maybe people who have certain entrepreneurial qualities or just function with a little bit more discretionary effort or whatever you think is best fit?
Yeah, and I'll say we're kind of blessed because the majority of the people that we hire were clients or members first. So they've already been entrenched and they believe in SoldierFit. So for us, it's been a nicer transition, right? So taking somebody that already knows that and making them employees, I don't want to say it makes our job easier, but it certainly does. But a requirement for all of our staff, they have to memorize the vision statement. That's a non-negotiable, right? They have to memorize our core values. That's a non-negotiable. Those are two important things, right, that have nothing to do with are they capable of doing the job? But those are our two most important things. And I think as a company, you have to look and you have to determine what's more important, right? Do you want someone who is really, really good at the job, but's not right fit for the team, as we said before? Or someone who's the right fit for the team that's willing to learn? You just have to put in the effort, right? And you have to put in the processes and the systems to teach them.
Absolutely. I think you've done a great job. I mean, I look at, some of your staff. I mean, whether or not it's Lauren or Jason. I mean, I even look at Elmer's transition from an intern to his full-time contributions. And I think what you all have done over the years has been tremendous, especially with regards to recognizing talented young people and ideally giving them an opportunity to grow under the confines of the SoldierFit umbrella.
Yeah, well, I think that's important too, right? You have to have a pathway for them to grow within the business. And I think laying that out front is very, very important. So one of the things we actually just created and we're working on kind of implementing is what's called a career roadmap. So it lays out from the very get-go all the positions within the company, what's available and offered for promotion, and exactly what you have to do and how long it's going to take you to get there. I think people see that it gives them excitement, it gives them ownership, and they understand what they have to do, right? Because people are judged off of what? Results, right? They need to grow the business, but a lot of times they don't know how or what their mission is. So to lay that out on paper and have them see it and then reward them every time they hit that, it keeps them motivated. It keeps them in the right direction.
I think that's extremely important. Just recognizing for us and just our trajectory in terms of how we're growing. People come in, they see the big picture, they see the big big company growing, but they also want to know how they fit into the growth. So being in a position much like yourself where you're an owner and you're in charge of the direction of not only the company, but your people, it's this balanced allocation of how much time am I putting into company growth, and then how much time am I putting into the growth of our people. And I think that they go hand in hand. And sometimes, if we go too much in another direction, we might recognize, small hiccups or an inability for us to get as quickly as we want to with regards to that growth plan.
Yeah. And I think people they're not chasing money.
Right.
I mean, they're not motivated by salary and monetary things. They're nice to have, right? People have to make a living and feel comfortable. But it's exactly what you talked about, right? They're motivated by growing, helping the company grow.
It's fulfilling.
Right? And especially as an entrepreneur in a younger company, you have the biggest advantage. If you're a huge conglomerate company, where am I going to grow to? Right? You're already grown. But being younger and showing people the opportunity to be able to take this 2-location, 5-location business and make it a 1,000-location national, maybe international company, that's exciting. I mean, that's something that they can tell their kids and pass that on. It's a powerful thing.
I agree. And I think it's something, I don't know if you're having this similar experience. I feel very fortunate where we're having some of the young talent come into our company and say, hey, this is what I think I could do for you, or what I would like to be involved in as a result of joining your team. We've had PTs come in and say, hey, I want to put together a program associated with an online app so that we can keep connectivity with people after they graduate from PT. We had another young PT come in and say, hey, I want to spearhead a concussion program. So we're getting these young people who recognize that with the company growth, they can almost carve out their own little personal brand or personal niche within the company and grow their own little company under the company. So I think it's something that with that entrepreneurial mindset that the owners have, it's also attracting other people who are, at least based on a recent book that I was going through, are functioning as entrepreneurial employees. They're putting in a high amount of discretionary effort. They're really, really in a position where they want to feel facilitated. And I find myself more in a position where I'm asking people, hey, how can I help you continue to develop into this niche or into this small business that you're looking to create for themselves? I mean, with the advent, social media, I mean, they can go out there and create a nice little niche for themselves and potentially do things on their own to increase exposure for themselves and increase exposure for the company.
I think that's a huge nugget, and you hit it on the head, right? We always think, how can you help my business grow? You said the opposite, right?
Absolutely.
How can I help you develop as an individual?
Right. Yeah. And I find myself asking, I mean, even the front desk, you talk about a situation where I think people will agree that from a customer service standpoint, you either have a customer service that is a null factor or it's negative. Well, how do I make an environment that can sometimes definitely take away from a business be something that's not only very, very easy for them to be successful, but ideally for them to acquire some level of new skills or cross-train, learn some other functions for the business. Hey, maybe we're not the end game for this person, but ideally we're investing in them such that they're having a positive return on the company, but ideally putting themselves in a better position where, hey, maybe they're finding a new opportunity that's better for them. So that goes into the thing that I think I keep hearing about more is like, don't be so worried about investing in your people that they will leave. Be so worried that you won't invest in them and they won't be as effective for your company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's something that we struggle with, and we work on that on a daily basis, right? There was a point where we did a phenomenal job initially training an individual and just thinking, hey, once I train you, you know everything. Go off and conquer the world and do your job. And then we'd get mad at them why they're not doing their job because we weren't following up with that training.
Right.
So it's not just the initial training, but these people need constant development, constant motivation. We just did a training the other day with all of our staff. They came in, and we're now making it mandatory quarterly for all of our staff to come in. And it's amazing because the employees, no matter what their position are, right, they get tunnel vision sometimes. They're so focused on, maybe it's sales, right? They're so focused on selling, and they get entrenched in the day-to-day operations. We assume they remember why they're there, but they don't, right? We have to constantly remind them, keep them motivated. I know you're working hard, but let's take a step back. Let's remember back when you first started. Why did you start working for this company? Why are you really here? Why are you passionate about it? It's amazing how quickly people forget that when they're not constantly reminded.
And they almost go into autopilot and they forget. You just brought it up and you hit it 3 times, right? The why of what they do is essential probably to them making sure that they continue to feel fulfilled, right? A big part of fulfillment and people being fulfilled about the job that they're doing is that it is leading to an outcome that is ideal for other people, right? In your environment, what are you guys selling? You're not just selling a boot camp environment, you're selling a way of life. You're selling things like civic engagement and a sense of community that go far beyond just people showing up and having the transactional aspect of just showing up to work out, but more of a transformational experience.
Yep.
So when we've just kind of deep dove down into some internal aspects of SoldierFit. Something I think you all have done a tremendous job too is positioning. You've done a good job of positioning of the company locally. You've done a good job regionally, and then as well as nationally. If I'm thinking back to some of the awards you all have won, you were included in the Dream Big Awards. There's been some features with regards to more national publications. What do you think has allowed you to do that? And what are some things that you're thinking about when you're trying to get SoldierFit more on a national platform?
Yeah, I mean, really, I can contribute a lot to Danny, and I wish Danny was here. He could probably talk about that a lot better than I. But I think one of the things that, obviously, we have a great mission and a great vision. I'm certainly biased, that's for sure. Absolutely. But I think we constantly talk about that. No matter if someone's heard it before, we're constantly discussing and talking about our why, as you say, and our mission and our vision. We're super involved in giving back to the community, right? Whether it be military nonprofits, non-military nonprofits, that's helped us in a way that you're talking about, right? That exposure. Sure. Tom's the shoe company, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great example of that. They're selling shoes just like anybody else. You could buy Tom's, you could buy Nikes, but why did people jump on board to Tom's specifically? Because their why, what they represented. Someone knew that if I buy a pair of shoes, I know that another pair of shoes is going to go back to a good cause. And I think that's been one of the big things that's helped us is exactly that, right? The why we do, the what we do, and giving back.
I love it. And I definitely see that, just being able to have a relationship with you, Danny, and other people, and once again, see some of the inner workings of the company. We've talked a lot about company. We've talked a lot about your people. What are some things that allow Dave Posin to be at his best? I think you are somebody who does a tremendous job of being at your best for your people. All signs would also point to you being very good to your wife and your now soon-to-be oldest daughter, right, with the number 2 on the way. So what contributes to you being at your best, and what do you do with regards to personal development?
Fitness first and foremost. I mean, that's why I got into the fitness business, just the impact that it's had on me, not only physically but mentally, right? We know what fitness can do, build your confidence and things like that. So that's really number one. As far as the balance goes between business and life, I don't know if I've conquered that or even have a plan for that. You're gonna have to make sacrifices, one or the other. I don't know if there is such a thing as balance, right? Because you're giving 90% one time, 10% here. Next week, you're 10% here, 90% here. So maybe overall in the grandiose scheme of things, it's balance, but it's a lot of give and take, right? But you need to prioritize and make sure you know what's important to you, right? We all have different goals, but your family needs to understand those goals and they need to be involved as well. So I think getting your wife on board with what the overall plan is, rather than them seeing, he's working 14, 16-hour days. He's working 14, 16-hour days. They need to be on board with it and have an understanding of, here's the goal. Here's why we are doing this, right? To enrich the lives of others, but also enrich our lives. So that's extremely important, right?
Do you find that to be much easier now, given the fact that you all are established and you have a lot better idea of what is necessary?
I used to think it would get easier, right? Just if we can get a third location where I'll have plenty of time on my hands. Right. And it seems like it's the opposite. Okay. The larger we grow, the busier I get. I think I've done a very good job, a lot better job, and this is certainly thanks to Danny, is planning my day.
Block and tackle.
Block and tackle.
Man, I heard that I don't know how many times the other day.
I was extremely busy, but yet I didn't have a plan or I wasn't guided for my day. And I think just keeping track of it in a book, Best Self Journal.
Hey,
kudos,
I was just about to ask. Yep.
It's helped a lot. So it allows me to understand what I'm doing hour by hour, minute by minute, day by day. And it allows me to visually block a time that I spend with my family and not allow any other distractions for that. Another thing that's helped me a lot